Good evening and welcome to the Press Box. My name is Melissa Ponzio, and for the next 30 minutes I'll be your host. With me tonight, Jay and Ty. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Just fine. Thank you for asking. I'd like to remind our audience that this is a live call-in show, so if you want to call in with any questions, comments, or criticisms, the number is 873-6713. And we're going to start things off tonight with the Atlanta Knights. Now, what is the outlook for the playoffs?
Jay, I think the outlook for the playoffs with this team is really good. First of all, you have a team that is defensive-oriented, like you pointed out all year long. They have good goaltending, but they have that one line with Droulier and LaRouche and Medill that have been putting in just a ton of goals, especially in the second half of the season. I really like the chances for this Knights club, even though I really don't think they're going to get home ice advantage throughout all the playoffs. I think that will belong to Las Vegas.
I don't know if home ice would be nice for the fans, but I really think that they're a pretty good road team, Ty, and they should be able to handle their own on the road. However, I'm a little bit nervous about Bergeron being called up. They're going to have to go with Greenlay and this other 35-year-old guy that they got out of the Quebec Nordique system as their backup goalie. That hurts when as you know, when you play a defensive style of hockey, you really need to have your best goaltender. And this happened last year. Remember, we talked about it last year on the show, how right before the playoffs, Tampa Bay called up all their good players, and they did send some of them back, but it kind of got the team out of sync, although they did go to the finals. This year, they're going to miss the coach, Gino. He's not there, and Paris hadn't shown me that much. He's a pretty good coach, though. And their goaltender. Those are the two concerns I have with the Knights in the playoffs.
Are there any surprises lurking that we need to be aware of, or maybe things that they need to concentrate on?
Well, the upcoming schedule, they have a very tough season-ending schedule, 2 games with Cincinnati and 1 with Las Vegas, and that's a brutal ending. Cincinnati has 99 points, and they're trying to chase a division championship in their league. Las Vegas is trying to hold on to that home ice. I don't know if that final game, though, is going to determine home ice. I think it'll be determined before then.
Yeah, probably. I think that'll be a finals for the Turner Cup preview there at the end. And it's Fan Appreciation Day, so maybe everyone will go out and rock the Omni.
Rock the Omni and get a hat or something of that sort, Fan Appreciation Night. Okay, before we move on, let's look at the night's schedule coming up. And we have Atlanta at Kansas City Wednesday at 8:40, Cincinnati at Atlanta Friday at 7:40, and Saturday at 1 o'clock. Okay, back again in the NCAA championships. I guess it is hog heaven.
Yes, it is. Jay, when we looked at this game, first of all, you picked this championship game.
Good for you.
Yeah, he did. He nailed it. Okay. Personally, I didn't think it was going to be that close of a game. I thought it might be a little close, but I thought Arkansas had a far superior team here. And I really disagree with the way Nolan Richardson played that first half. He constantly tried to go inside and fight against the strength of Duke's defense. Duke was trying to take Williamson away from him, and he constantly went in there. He has got other alternatives. He could have put Scotty Thurman and run screens for him. He could have had Big Stewart out on the perimeter who can nail those shots. He could have McDaniel come off the bench to shoot that three-pointer. I would have had 3 3-point shooters out there on the rim of that perimeter ready to put up open 3-point jump shots. I would have told my team, put up 12 3-pointers in the first half. That would have been my game plan to see if I could loosen things up. If you get behind, big deal. That team has enough firepower, as they showed in the second half, that if they're down by double digits, they can come back in no time. I think Nolan Richardson was lucky to win this game. At halftime, I thought Duke was going to win. I think he got out-coached.
Well, I think that one thing, and I do disagree with everything that Nolan does or says, but I think what he did was he had a liberal substitution pattern in the first half. He put a couple seniors in there, played them when they had no business being in the game, and I think just to get them the time. Then he also substituted some younger players in there to get them experience in a championship game, which, I guess worked out to his benefit. You're right, he could have sacrificed the game there, but he didn't, and I think he really threw away the first half. I think he really thought, now this is getting into it, what Nolan thought. I realize I don't understand everything he does, but I really think that he threw away the first half, hoping to pace his good players and have them fresh at the end of the game. And I think if you saw one thing in that game, you did see that the fresher team was Arkansas at the end. Obviously, Duke was just worn out. I don't know if the fall Grant Hill took at the beginning of the game had any bearing on it, but he just looked out of sync at the end of the game. He missed just about every shot he took, and he's their go-to guy, and they had to keep giving him the ball, and he was just too tired.
Well, one thing that did happen at the end is that when you look at the last 3 shots, I think 2 of them were taken by Collins and 1 by Capel. I mean, Grant Hill wasn't touching the ball then, and that's the player who's been making the big plays for him this year. I really think that they should have done something out there. Duke's a smart enough team to know when they need to go to Grant Hill, and they didn't do it. I was really surprised when he wasn't touching the ball.
Although I think because Hill was tired, he turned the ball over like 8 or 9 times in the game, and they may have been that might have been in the back of Coach K's mind. However, you mentioned Capel. He played a bad game. He was just wild. It seemed like he was caught up in the moment. Collins, I don't think Collins shot very good in the whole tournament.
No, he didn't.
And, he may have made 1 shot last night, but he needed for him to make a lot more.
Yeah, he made 2 big ones. He made 2 back-to-back 3-pointers that gave them a lead.
So he finished like 2 for 30 for the tournament, I think. But
Maybe
anyway.
something close to that.
Now, Duke has been to the championship game several times before and have not been successful. What do you think? I mean, can you give maybe some suggestions what they need to do, or what do you think it is that they can't get over that one,
Oh, well,
that one
Duke
hump?
needs to keep doing what they've been doing. That's a team of great NCAA experience. If I were a team out there looking for a head coach, I would be looking at one of these Duke assistants because they know what they're doing. If there's a basketball program that knows what they're doing, it is Duke. I think Indiana and Bobby Knight really knows what he's doing, but Duke gets better players just simply because Bobby Knight's a bastard. He just can't get the people to want to play for him, and so it cuts down on the quality of recruits that he can get. Duke, they know how it's done. They just need to keep doing what they're doing.
Jay?
I like Bobby Knight. I think I know his parents. No,
Uh-oh.
I understand what you're
Tempers
saying.
flare here
I
in
know
the
what you're
press box.
saying. I know what you're saying about Bobby Knight. He does kind of scare off the good players like Larry Bird. Didn't he go there for a month and then go, I'm out of here?
What about Thunderbird?
Yeah, well, he deserved to be run off. But anyway, yeah, I kind of agree with Ty on this. I think that Duke, just getting to the Final Four, 6 out of the last 7 years or 5 out of the last 6, something like that, it's phenomenal. Because you got to have a good team, you got to have a lucky streak in the tournament, and you got to have good coaching. And I said all tournament long that Duke probably had the best coaching, and they definitely had the best defense. The reason that game was close, and there were so many turnovers, was because of defense. To me, I think people that I talked to today would say, "Oh, what a sloppy game." Everybody said it was a great game and all, but the players kind of played sloppy. Well, that's because of good defense. People were hounding them up and down the court, and you make mistakes. When there's a good defense being played in a basketball game, you tend to make mistakes. And Duke turned the ball over about twice as many times as they did throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I think they had something like 24 turnovers. That's a lot more than they usually
Yeah, and they
make.
averaged 12.
A good performance by both teams. Now, I know I can't let you guys go away without commenting on the Gators and their performance. How do you think they did? Just briefly.
I think Florida was an excellent team. Florida is so tough in a tournament because they can adapt to no matter what style of play that you have, and Lon Kruger's an excellent coach. Personally, I think Duke was lucky to be in the championship game. Duke did not beat Florida. Florida beat Florida. Florida had a 13-point lead in the second half. They killed themselves on the free throw line. They shot 55%, 11 out of 20. You cannot do that against Duke and win. Duke was 19 out of 23 from the free throw line. That was the difference in the game.
Okay, well, before you comment, we have a phone call. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello?
What's that trick? Oh, I have one number.
Do you have a question? I guess
guess
not.
not.
Why don't you go ahead and
I
comment
think
on
that caller was just appalled at what you said, Ty, about Florida. I think
Speechless.
Florida, though they had a good showing and they can pat themselves on the back, provided they don't break their arms, they had no business being in the Final Four. They were lucky to be there, and everybody they played like some of that's a good, tenacious defense, but it just seemed like through the tournament run, every time Florida played a team, that team had a bad game.
So it was all luck,
And
right?
then you come down to the runner-up for Player of the Year, Danielle Marshall in the UConn game. University of Connecticut, this guy makes 1 of 2 free throws, and Florida doesn't go, and he misses them both. Now, you could put that guy in the line probably 100 times, and he won't miss both free throws but once. And he did it, and so Florida went to the Final Four. And I said on here in the Sweet 16 round that they were the 16th best team in that Sweet 16 round, and I think they were pretty lucky to get to the Final Four. But give them credit, they played good and they got there, and
Jay, you said those teams that Florida played just hadn't have a bad game. I think Florida's defense may have had something to do
That could be,
with
but
causing the other team to play a bad game.
How can Danielle Marshall miss 2 free throws in a row to when their whole season's on the line? And how can somebody come down the court and trip and fall and hand you the ball? It's like, I mean, the Boston College game, it just looked like Florida's year this year, you know?
And it was almost.
Almost, yeah.
Almost. Okay, well, let's move on to the SEC. And do you think they're becoming a conference power?
I think they're still a little ways away from that. First of all, what you have is that you have 12 teams in the league where you have some very elite programs. You have Arkansas, a great program. Kentucky, an awesome program. You have up-and-coming programs. Florida with Lon Kruger, I think, is a good program. But then you have a lot of bad teams. I mean, you have teams like Auburn and the Mississippi schools, and then you have the major underachievers, which are Dale Brown and LSU and Hugh Durham with all that talent at Georgia. Major underachievers. I think the SEC is trying to make a few coaching changes. They're going to have to make a lot of them, I think, to really be competitive.
Well, 2 of them have already been made. I think you bring in O'Neal from Marquette into Tennessee. That makes that program probably twice as good right now. And in a couple of years, they're going to be a powerhouse that they have to deal with. And today, we learned that Cliff Ellis took the Auburn job. So now you got an experienced ACC coach in the SEC. That should help Auburn become respectable. I'm not saying that it's going to make them a power, but the 2 coaching moves right there make the conference better, okay? Now, I don't think they're a powerhouse. I think Kentucky will always lead, and Arkansas will probably, always be there because of the recruiting base they have. But other than that, that conference is not ever going to be a powerhouse.
Okay, well, we have a phone call. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Just fine. How are you?
Hey, good. Let me tell you something, honey. You're very beautiful, first of all, okay?
Thank you very much.
Now, the guy in the middle, we don't want to talk about him, I guess. So, listen, and the guy on the right, well, what else can we say? Hey, listen, I got one comment. I went to the University of Florida, of course.
Go Gators.
You got it, honey. And I may not be from there because, I don't sound like it, I guess.
Correct.
But I went there, and I want to know the guy in the middle, what's your name?
Jay.
Jake, well, how can you say that they had no reason to be in the Final Four? Lon Kruger should be Coach of the Year in the rankings, don't you think?
No, Nolan said himself last night that he was Coach of the Year. Didn't you hear him say that he was the best
Look,
recruiter?
Nolan Richardson loves to pat himself on the back. He thinks just because he's black, he's still got a grudge or something. I don't know what the deal is.
He was definitely patting himself on the back, that's for sure.
He's a great coach, but hey, I got another thing. I was watching TV last night, right? Mm-hmm. And I was before the game, and I was catching the other, what the hell's the other name of that show, the other sports show? Have you caught that yet?
On which network?
On your show, on your network there.
I'm not
I
aware of
haven't
it.
seen it.
It's called Sports Access, I think. It's something like that. Anyway, listen, you guys should, challenge them to some type of either sports info off or something.
Like
or
a sports roundtable, a discussion,
Either
if you
that, or
will.
I think it maybe be fun if you got a couple teams together, did like a softball. Don't you think pretty good? Someone filmed that whole thing or something?
Oh, I see. Well, we can check on it. Anything's possible here at People TV.
Hey, I think you're doing a great job. I don't mean to cut you off, honey. You're doing a great job. But listen, you guys, honey, you're great. You know your stuff, but you guys are a couple of clowns.
Oh, gee, collateral will get you everywhere.
But seriously, I mean, it's not often that you see a beautiful lady that knows her stuff about sports. But hey, I guess it's just because Georgia. We don't find too many good-looking guys in Georgia. I don't know what it is. You guys don't know your shit too much. But hey, listen. Thanks, honey.
Hey,
All right.
you're
All
welcome.
right, boy.
Okay, honey, baby.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
wonder
you
what
so
you-
much. Yes, too much turkey boys. Yes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it looks
But
like he's still having a good time. Maybe he just came from Charlotte.
Very sweet
But I do
man.
agree with that, with him, with his assessment of Lon Kruger.
He's a good coach, but
He's an excellent
let me
coach.
defend why I said they should have been there, and I think I just did. I said that Danielle Marshall hits one of those 2 free throws, and they're not even there. So you can't really plan on that happening. You can't tell me that the good coach that Lon Kruger is sat there and went, oh, he'll miss these, and then we'll go to the Final Four. I don't think so.
okay. Well, you mentioned Nolan Richardson's controversial comments. You just want to briefly comment on those?
First of all, I think that, I don't agree with what he says exactly. First of all, the name of the game in the NCAA is money. You get money by winning. You sell tickets, you get on TV, you get contributions. I can tell you right now, any president or athletic director could care less what nationality his coaches are when they can go out there and bring in giant revenue into your universities. I disagree with Nolan Richardson totally. I think if there's qualified black coaches out there, that they're going to be found, because no matter what, winning is in demand. So I just don't agree with him at all.
Jay?
I kind of made fun of him a while ago with that caller, and that's, when you win something like this, a good coach will give the credit to his players.
Mm-hmm.
He won't sit up there in the press conference and go, I'm a great recruiter, I'm a great teacher, I'm a great coach. That kind of bugged me, because the good ones don't have to tell everybody they're good. And before the game, he did make race an issue, and he claimed everybody was picking on him because he was a black coach. And I didn't see any of that. There was the controversy with Billy Packer over him slighting him. Now, Billy Packer doesn't slight anybody. He pretty much, he's not even controversial. He'll go so far as to compliment everyone, even when they don't need a compliment. And I just felt like the wrath vented against Billy Packer was unwarranted. And I don't like the guy.
All right.
And
well,
everyone's entitled to their opinion, and that's mine.
and on that note, we have a phone call. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
Ah, great. Hello, you all. Hello,
Hi.
fellas. Hello, me. It is your number one fan
Hey!
strong out here. And, honey child, I can always tell when there is spring break. You're on, Puddin'. Anyway, fellas, yes, you are taking a very nice stand about the black coaches. Because, over here in the hood, we are a bit upset on how most of the players are black, but most of the staff, including assistant coaches, are white people, and also the announcers. And I think that's why you always hear more and more about how basketball is not a sport anymore, but just an entertainment venue, almost like a minstrel show. So then, yes, I do appreciate you all stand. And Mimi,
Yes, sir?
I will check you out in June.
All right. Can't wait to
Bye-bye.
see you.
Thanks for the
calling.
call.
Gosh, all my fans are calling. Makes me feel so good. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
You sure know your stuff about sports.
I
Yeah,
sure
maybe.
do. That's right. Has nothing to do with my appearance at all. I am just so brainy, I don't even know what to do with myself. What do you think about that comment?
Well, let's take a look at Tennessee and Wade Houston. Here was a guy earning $270,000 a year, and just what the opportunity cost that you're looking at with Tennessee, they just had thousands and thousands of empty seats in that Thompson Bowling Arena that holds well over 20,000 people. I think they let him stay too long. I think they should have fired him a while back. They definitely gave him, I think, too much of a chance. That's just my opinion, but I think Tennessee held on to him too long.
All right, well, we have another phone call. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
This is Jeff. I work at Turner Sports,
Hi.
and the reason I'm calling is I wanted to get your all's opinions on the Masters upcoming this week and why so many of the European players are coming here and playing as well. When the Americans play on these type of courses year-round and can't jump up in the big one, you see fault on these guys from England who play on the link-style courses are coming over here and just tearing the Americans apart.
Boy, you're right about that. And it won't surprise me at all to see a player like Faldo come in there and win this thing again this year. The key to the Masters is putting. If there's someone that's going to really perform well in the Masters this week, it's a golfer like Crenshaw who just won a tournament. That guy is one of the best putters in the game. Also, I think if there's any other Americans out there that might have a chance at this week, I think of all people, John Daly. He always seems to play well at Augusta. Look out for him. What do you think?
Well, I don't think Daly has the charisma to come into a place like Augusta. It's more of a pristine place. Daly is kind of like the black sheep of the PGA Tour, in my opinion, and to come into a environment that kind of makes him uncomfortable, he might not be able to do as well. Another thing I wanted to point out, what background TV do you guys have? I just kind of like to watch other people and the jobs they do, and with all respect to you two guys on the right, the other caller called, and nothing against you guys, but you guys seem a little bit more shaky in your knowledge of sports. She seems a little bit more fluid and very comfortable in the air.
Tonight is my night.
Okay. All right.
Tonight is my night.
In all honesty, it's not the fact she's a very attractive lady. That's
Okay, thanks for the
Thanks
call.
for the call. Okay.
But you seem like you know a little bit more about sports than they do, and you're backing up your responses with examples and all that. You guys are just giving your opinions,
All right. Thanks a lot.
someone
Bye-bye.
that
See
knows
you
their
later.
stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Well,
I think that he was just trying to hit on you.
oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
And that's my opinion.
Okay.
But let me address the Masters. I think that one of the reasons foreigners come over here and play better is the Masters is like the only golf tournament that doesn't have all the souvenir tent set up. You know what I mean? It's not really geared towards the fans. And over on the European tour, they do the same thing. They do have like your clubhouse shops, but they're not allowed to just really commercialize the whole tournament. So the foreign players come over here, and when they play the Masters, it's more of pure golf, like Ty was saying. It's a pure golf tournament. It's all about golf. There's not all that other hanky-panky going on, you know, on the 9th and 18th fairways, and it just seems like that lends to the foreigners dominating this tournament in the last few years. I guess Langer won it last year, and Price and Faldo, they always seem to do good.
Woosman.
And and so the Americans, they're more in tune to the commercialism of it, and they do well in the other tournaments where it's just commercialized.
Yep.
Okay, well.
But that is my opinion.
Yes.
Well, before we take this call, I'd just like to thank our sponsors. We have the Atlanta Knights, who have been very good to us, and as well as Dirty Owls at Northside. So thank you both very much. And let's take this phone call. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Melissa. I'd like to say I enjoy watching you, but the other two guys, they got to go. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. See? They love you too. 1 out of 4 ain't bad. No.
Right.
Let's move on to baseball.
Hey, 250, you put us in baseball, Jay, we're millionaires.
That's right. Let's move on to baseball, and let's talk about the Braves. Do you think they can move to the top this year?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, the Braves have the best pitching. Also, I really like the offense that this club has. When you have a lineup that has Justice and Fred McGriff, I mean, that's going to be potentially 70 home runs right there. I think the Braves will score a lot of runs this year. I think having Dione, you don't like Dione, Jay. You said that all last year.
No,
I
wait a
think
minute.
having Dione at the top of the lineup playing every day, I think he's going to be one of the leaders in runs scored in the National League this year.
He might be. It's not that I don't like Dion. Last year I said I liked Otis Nixon a lot better. I think Nixon was a better center fielder. Dion came to camp early, worked on it, you know. He still hasn't taken charge. I don't know if you noticed that in the game yesterday where there was a fly ball to right center field. He sort of let Justice have it. He's got to learn how to, like, be the man out there. You know, you got to call everybody off. You got to, you just got to take charge out in center field. He'll be fine, though, okay? I don't know if he'll get on as much as Otis Nixon, but he definitely has more power, as he showed by roping one out of there in the first game. He could hit 20, 30 home runs in the leadoff role, which hasn't been heard of since Barry Bonds' dad played, I think.
I think one of the keys here is going to be the bullpen. And right now, everyone is wondering, are the Braves going to make any type of move for a stopper? Well, I think the chance to make a move is always going to be there. But you've got Stanton, Wallers, Bedrosian now throwing a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. I think that Scherholtz and Cox are just going to stay back and see what those guys can do and see if they can, any of them can handle the closer spot. Now, it may be a by-committee thing, and along with Greg McMichael.
Yeah, I don't think they need a closer. They got a fine bullpen. They don't have an established closer, and that's what everyone's squawking about. But McMichael, if he falters, like you said, they got Stanton, they got Bedrosian, they can come in with anybody. With the starting pitching they have, I don't feel like the closer will be that much of a problem in the early part of the season.
Well,
Most of these pitchers will go 7 or 8 innings.
The opening game, the pitching was phenomenal.
Oh, well, yeah, Greg Maddux is phenomenal. But then when you look back at the playoffs, and not just last year, but of recent history with the Braves, here it is. The Achilles heel has been the bullpen, giving up big home runs and big hits. I really think the bullpen has potential, but it's still suspect. I think that's where the focus of the team is going to be this year, at least up into June, to see if any type of move needs to be made.
All right, well, we have a phone call. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, my name's Eric.
Hi, Eric.
I just wanted to say about the comment about Lon Kruger earlier. I think you guys kind of missed the point a little bit. Lon Kruger's a great coach. This is a guy who took a team that 4 years ago was awful and took them to the Final Four this year. The thing about Danielle Marshall missing the shot, this is a team that was supposed to finish 4th in the SEC East and shocked everybody. And I think Lon Kruger summed it up best when he said, these are great teams that for some reason keep having to lose to the Gators. You know, this is a team that really played their hearts out. give Lon Kruger some credit. He put a lot of class and a lot of finesse back into a totally flat and dead basketball program in 4 years. And Melissa, you're great.
Thank you very much, Eric. What do you think about that comment?
Well,
I think that's
I
what
agree
probably
with
what-
it.
yeah.
I mean, Melissa, what have I said about Lon Kruger?
Yeah.
I've given him nothing but praise this show. Are
Okay.
people listening?
Well, now wait a minute. I did too. I said, hey, look, he's a great coach, but you don't coach for the other team to miss free throws at the end of the game. Okay? I guess his greatness came in that he put his team in a position where they could win had this guy missed his free throws or had the Boston College guy or Abrams tripped and fallen and handed him the ball. I mean, you know, he was in a position. He's a good coach. He put his team in that position to win those games. And they won them, and they were there. But I maintain my opinion that there were better teams in the tournament, and they really did have a fairly lucky run getting to the Final Four.
Well, if Eric is right and he's turned this ball team around in 4 years, there's always next year, and we see
Yeah.
what they have this year, so it can only get better,
Right.
hopefully.
There you go.
Because I'm a Gator. And we have another phone call. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
I like to say about Nola, the coach of Arkansas. I
Yeah.
think he's a great coach, but, about that cockiness, I think he deserved because last year, I ain't heard that much about him and things, but I saw him at practice one day. He was running with the guys and everything, showing, defensive strategy and everything, but he is a little bit too cocky to be doing that, though, this first championship.
All right. Thanks for the phone call.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Jay said, he gave himself a lot of credit and should have given it to his players. Nolan Richardson is, I think, a good coach. Not a great coach, a good one. I mean, you have to do something right to put that type of talent out on your court. He's obviously a good recruiter, but you have to put these players together. He's a good coach. He just happened to have the best team. I think there's 4 potential NBA players on that team.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. He is a good coach. He didn't deserve all the credit he gave himself. And anytime your team, it's a team sport, wins any kind of championship, you need to just take a back seat and say, look, at these kids won. Give them the credit. There they are. Let them cut down the nets. Let them squirt grape juice on each other or whatever they were doing.
Those crazy kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we understand what you're saying. And I'd just like to take a break right here and just thank everyone for calling. We've had a lot of good calls. And let's go back to the Braves. And do you think the injuries will be a problem?
Well, I think they'll be a factor, but not a significant factor. I mean, losing Chipper Jones, that's a big loss, I think. Steve Avery's been having these little nagging problems in the spring, but nothing very significant. As long as the Braves can stay away from injuries hitting the 4 starting pitchers, Fred McGriff and David Justice, then I think that the Braves are going to be in position to win a whole lot of baseball games, probably maybe 100.
Yeah, they'll win over 100 games. I think that the fact that they have a few players injured, I think Tarasco still has a minor nagging injury, and they're not going to matter now, okay? If they lose someone down the stretch and someone's close to them, we have to remember there's not going to be a team like the Giants pushing them to win 100 games,
Right.
okay? So I think they'll probably be cruising, and the injuries won't hurt them,
Okay.
to answer your question.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, I'd like to go into this week's scheduling for the Braves. We have Atlanta at San Diego tonight at 10:05, Wednesday at 10:35, and Thursday at 4:05. Atlanta at LA Friday at 10:05, Saturday at 10:05 again, and Sunday at 4:05. Let's move on now to the Hawks. And, excuse me, we have Boston at Atlanta, Atlanta at New Jersey, and Washington and Atlanta. I would like to thank you both. It was a great show. I'd like to thank all our callers and viewers, and we'll
Even
see.
the clowns from Florida.
Hey, we'll see you next time.